Welcome to the Sexy Freedom Media Podcast, a place to discuss pain, passion, and pursuits.
Let's get it. I want to feel alive.
Breathe.
Make some moves.
Protect the throne. This is Sexy Freedom Media Podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to the Sexy Freedom Media Podcast. It's your girl, Helen Edwards, and
January Liddell. Aloha.
We have an awesome show for you today. We're going to talk about self-love. Since it is the month of February, we have an exciting love series, as January likes to call it. But before we get started and jump into it, please subscribe if you haven't. Share any of our videos or podcasts if you've heard them, and give us a 5-star review at the end of the show if you like what you hear or see. All right, January, let's talk about it.
Awesome. Well, I love that we're talking about love. Love isn't just about, relationships, right? It's not just about relationships, but it actually also coincides with business and pleasure. So it's all encompassing. So all of February, I love that we're going to be talking about love. So get your pen out, get your paper out, get your coffee out. All right. Here are the 5 ways to self-love. Number 1, self-portrait, a stick figure. You can even do a stick figure. It doesn't have to be pretty, with words of positive affirmation. Number 2, working out, yoga, run, dance. Number 3, be still and meditate. Number 4, get your groom on. I was gonna say groom. Get your groom on. Nails, hair, massage. And number 5, I know I am a daughter of a king. All right, so that's for those of you that believe in God, but we're gonna expand more. All right, Helen. So why do you think this is important? Like, why is it important for us to actually talk about love?
Specifically self-love. I've done a lot of research over the years, as I'm sure many of our listeners have. And one of the things that was important for me is distinguishing between self-love and self-soothing or self-coping. I used to think that self-love was, letting myself have that big plate of sugar, or that big glass of wine, or that night out to get fucked up with friends, or to take a few days off of working out, because I needed to rest my body. And, that all of it can be true at the time, if that's what you feel. But what I learned is that, there was things that I was doing that I was kind of mixing up with what true self-love is versus what self-coping, self-soothing, my nervous system, or my stress, or my high cortisol, or, my trauma that I was hiding. So what really started to make sense when I went down this deep dive of, I'm big on researching. I'm a seeker. I like to find out what something means, and then find out what that means, and then find out where that originated from. Because through time, so many beautiful texts and words and translations have been misconstrued. They've been mistranslated. They've been, narrated based on what somebody wants people to know. So for me, I started looking at the word love, first of all, and I went back in time, like, what's the origination of the word love? Like, how can we use self-love if we don't know what love is? So not to go into a big podcast on what love is, but what I came to find, and you can do your own research, here's some homework for you, dive deep and find out where the word originates from. For me, what I found, and I'm sure there's even more to dig into, but what I did come to a stop at was that the word originated from the word care and desire. And what those words originated from was the word, was some Indo-European words, going back into Latin, which goes back even further into Greek. Like, it goes even further and further. But the word came from a word that translated into libido. And the reason that word is because it came from the idea of love was to be about a mother and her child. So it all just like this big light came on for me. Like, okay, this makes sense. Because as a mother myself, and January, your mother, like we would do anything for our children. Like our love is so unconditional. And I mean, the thought of anybody hurting my child is like, I will hurt you, you know? So there's this strong depth of love, and there's this emotional and invisible attachment that we have to our children and that we have to our own parents, you know? So I started thinking about that with self-love. You know, if my child comes home and is like, you know, I had a really rough day, I am struggling, the first thing I would do for that child is I'd listen. I wouldn't say, here's a glass of wine, you know, let me take you out to go get your, you know, get you a nice purse. Let me buy you Gucci purses. You know, I would be like, talk to me. I'm here. And I think that just started making more sense about self-love. Now, obviously we're going to touch on the others, but for me, I want this to be the foundation because it really hits deep for me that self-love is first for me, listening to myself, listening, like they say, listen to what your body needs, becoming very self-aware. So yeah, that's what I mean, I can go further, but I want to kind of just stick with what our 5 are. But for me, that's like what sets the tone.
You're right. Recording stop, which is good. Okay. Hi. So I'm glad that you touched bases on that because one, it's really vital to really understand the origin of the word love. And I love that you said, you know, self-love versus self-soothing, completely different, you know, and the foundation is really listening to yourself. I think that's like the key is listening to yourself and be more self-aware. And I like that. I like that you're setting that tone. So I wanted to say, you know, for number one, self-portrait. For me, you know, I'm not an artist. Okay. So I like to just draw that stick figure. This whole exercise is a part of being self-aware. So number one is self-portrait. So I draw my stick figure of myself. I mean, I even have a dress on. Okay. So it's draw it as nice, as pretty as you like, or whatever. Right. So, and then all around that, I just write words of positive affirmations, things that I feel I am so and so. I am, you know, such and such. And I write all of these words just around that picture. And for me, that makes me feel like, one, I'm putting pen to paper. And I know I've said this before. There's something magical about putting pen to paper and you see it, it's tangible. You can see like all those positive affirmations, all those positive words about ourselves, right? And it just, you step back and you're like, oh, okay, I am actually a beautiful soul. I'm a beautiful person. So that's number one for me. Self-portrait is, you know, a part of being self-aware. What do you do, Helen, in terms of feeling that self-awareness?
Oh gosh, it's definitely a lifelong journey of work. But I like what you said as far as giving good tips on exercises. The stick figure is a great one. I know for me, one of the things I did was I drew myself also. I've done this exercise and I'm telling you guys, it's amazing. I'm not an artist, so my stick figure had a big old head on it, big hands, tiny feet. But for me, what I was doing at the time that I did my stick figure is I was placing my chakras on my stick figure. And when I did my chakras, if you're familiar with yoga or the practice of yoga, there's chakras and there's I got to put the colors on there, and I kind of was like, where do I do an assessment on myself? Where do I need more love with my chakras? Do I need it in my root chakra? Do I need it in my heart chakra? Do I need it in my throat chakra? And so whichever colors or whichever chakras I needed the, you know, extra love on, I made them brighter. You know, I colored them in brighter. So that was an activity I did for myself.
Yeah, it's powerful. And that helps a lot when you're feeling not your strongest. I know that's when I start creating something like that. And it's good to revisit. So I started this when I was in high school, and then, every so and so years I will create another one and just write more, because you're not the same person you were last year, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So always good to, to revisit this. All right, number two, working out, yoga, run, dance. Helen, you and I are aligned. I didn't know that you were actually doing that self-portrait as well. So the working out part, I know you love working out, so do I. There is something biological actually that happens when you work out. So it's not just good for us, but there's a happy hormone that comes out when you work out. For me, lately, I've been doing core power yoga. And if you're not familiar with core power yoga, there's so many layers in this workout. The room is heated 91 to 94 degrees. You also have your weights and cardio. So you do yoga, incorporate weights with your poses, and then cardio. And it's just such a exhilarating type of feeling, type of workout. So I'm really enjoying core power yoga. I do love my run. Run, to me, is like that personal time that I get to just be on my own and just be in my own thoughts. So run or walk. So one of those two. And dance. I mean, you've seen Helen and I, we're dancing, and there's something energetic, it's like you're releasing that energy from the inside out. So yeah, so that's number two, working out.
Yeah. Yoga. I love yoga. I'm a yoga instructor, been a yoga instructor since 2015. And for me, yoga is life-changing. It's been shifting ever since I started with my mind, body, soul empowerment and the flow. Like January was talking about that energy. We carry so much trauma. Our body is a book. It's a memory capsule. It's got so many chapters to it. And some of those chapters get stuck, and we get stuck on those chapters. And that's really the subconscious. So when we're doing yoga, we're running, we're dancing, you're twisting the body, you're flowing, you're moving the feminine and masculine energy within yourself to get everything unstuck. So that way those pages can keep moving and you can keep carrying on with your life and you can get to the next chapter. And that's very, very important. In fact, it's imperative that you do some type of sort of physical activity. And if you're somebody with a disability, it's important that you do some research on what you can do for your body right where it's at. And I'm telling you that in January, we're testing this today, like there's magic that happens when you move your body, whether it's your fingers on the piano and that's all you do, go for a slight walk, just do something, do anything. Music, when you sing, your throat chakra, your vocal cords, your throat is dancing inside the body and outside the body. It's your body is moving and dancing by the slightest movement that makes such a big impact. So yes, we definitely encourage that.
Yes. So I follow the Blue Zones Project. I'm not sure if you're aware of it or our listeners are aware of it, but the Blue Zones Project was designed by a National Geographic photographer. He went to several places all over Earth, and there are certain places that centurions live, so people who live over 100. This is aligned with self-love. Okay, so it's called the power of 9. So one of the power of 9 is moving naturally. So that's a part of our number 2 is working out, yoga, run, and dance. Highly suggest you look up Blue Zones Project. It's great. It's great for the soul, for the heart, for your being. So, all right, number 3, be still and meditate. This is probably one of the hardest. And it's one of the hardest because as a society, we're so used to fast pace and like everything like 15 seconds or less, 1 minute or less. Everything is so fast paced. So being still and meditation is probably going to be super challenging for those of us who are always on the run and on the go. But there is such value in being still and meditation. What are your thoughts, Helen?
So last summer, I had a major surgery, and it was one of my first major surgeries. My body didn't bounce back as tough as I thought it would. So I actually couldn't walk very far. I could get to the couch to the bathroom, and that in itself was a struggle for about 2 months. And I found myself just forcing myself to just rest. As somebody who's always on the go, I'm really fast. I just like to make moves every day. It was very humbling. And I thought, what could I do right where I'm at? I can't really walk. I can't really dance. I can't really anything. And I started to get in that emotional state, woe is me, poor me, I'm a victim. And I was like, no, you are not allowed to go there. We are brave, we're empowered. And like, I did what a mom does to their child, or what they're supposed to do, like reinforce that positivity, those affirmations. And I switched to yoga. Again, yoga, if you look at the origin of yoga before the asanas are the movements that you see people doing in power yoga and all these yoga studios. But yoga started with meditation. That's how it originated before the asanas came in. And I thought, I'm going to start doing yoga, meditation practices. So I set up my gym room with a mat, or with a cot to lay on. And I'd put, something over my face, and I'd sit there with my candles and everything, or lay there, I should say, for about 2 hours a day, listening to guided meditations, sometimes with nothing. And it was such a profound experience. I went deep. I started really learning a lot about myself. Memories started coming alive that I forgot I even had, or didn't even remember, that were in my body. It was a very transformative experience to, one, be humbled, two, make myself meditate. Because when you're somebody who has a lot of monkey brain and chatter, you hear it all the time. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, I won't do that. I can't get my body to be still. Like, there's no way. There's a way. And I'm proof of that. And when it happened, it was like a next level of self-love for myself.
I think, when you did that last year, I was like, man, 2 hours. I couldn't believe when you told me that, because that is a long time to be still. But it's definitely so powerful, because now you're more self-aware and more attuned to whatever it is that's going on in your body. So I think, like I said, that being still and meditation is vital, because you are more, you're more inclined to react and respond to certain things in such a better way. So this is the reason why we're talking about self-love first, right? Oh, go ahead.
I do want to mention one of the reasons why I basically picked up the meditation process, even like expanded on it with the 2 hours. I was only doing about 10 to 30 minutes, every so often per week. But my body, because I had gone through so much trauma from the surgery, I was having anxiety attacks, and they would just come out of nowhere. And I thought, what could I do? So if you're somebody who's having anxiety out there, if you're high level stress, meditation really is a beautiful practice to help you with that. It's not a band-aid. It is deep work. And for me, it was the light. It was the light that I needed, because I'm not somebody who likes to get on all these medications. I'm somebody who's like, what can my body is such a vibrant machine, it's self-healing, it's divine in its own way. So I knew it could heal itself. So I just need to put something in front of it to say, hey, we can try this, we can do this. So I really definitely suggest it.
Same. So I use Headspace. Headspace is an app I love Headspace. And I love Headspace because the images are so simple and so colorful and vibrant, and they'll show, for example, noting. I love noting, and it was such a powerful cartoon that I still remember it, and my kids can understand it and relate to it. Noting is so they have this little cloud, and you have all these different thoughts that come into our heads, especially women have thousands of thoughts that come into our head. So noting is using a feather, right? So it's such a great image to use a feather, and you're like, and that thought comes in your brain. You're like, oh, note, 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 and you use your feather to note it. And I just love it. So meditation and being still is more than just an idea or a concept. It actually does, like what Helen was saying, it really does change you. There is something biological actually that happens when you meditate. And when you practice that throughout your day, I know for me, I'm able to react or respond to a negative outcome or a stressful situation in a much calmer situation than I did when I was younger. So yeah, so definitely, being still and meditating. Man, we can go on and on about this.
Headspace is actually on Netflix. If you guys don't know, I watch Headspace before I go to sleep. So check it out.
Thank you for that, because I actually had no idea it was on Netflix. Sweet. But yes, definitely Headspace. It's a great tool. And so I wanted to just kind of align to why we're talking about self-love first. The reason that we're talking about self-love, there's several reasons, right, Helen? But self-love is actually key in giving love to others. Self-love, you gotta be aware of who you are, and your own boundaries, your own, just who you are in general, in order to love somebody else. I found that when I was so focused on the other person, or so focused on somebody else and their happiness, and not really concerned about mine, I was miserable and I wasn't doing myself justice. And for me, my body is the temple. But it took me time to get to that thought and that concept, and to really understand the gravity of my body as a temple. I'm still trying to master that, by the way. And I know several women are still trying to master that. But when we realize that our body is a temple, and Helen is so key in this, because her motto is protect your throne, protect the throne. And I love that, because that is the whole self-love. So that's part of the reason why we're talking about this today is self-love. Love yourself first. All right. Number 4, get your groove on. Nails, hair, massage, all those have value in self-love. I know when I get my nails done, they just look so pretty when you get your nails done. Although I'm going to have to say, I'm going to do it myself next time, just so I could save money. We can talk about that another time.
Yeah, I don't do my nails much. It's not really a big thing to me. But grooming yourself, feeling good, showers. When I take a shower, that's really like a big thing for me. It makes me feel like I'm cleansing. It's a lot more ritual to it. Because we're about 70% water, so you want that water to cleanse your skin. It's kind of one of the reasons why people feel good after a hangover and they take a shower. They like come alive a little, because water meets water. It's connecting that source energy. But grooming, like, I thought about this. I was like, I used to be somebody who wore really skimpy clothes and was at the clubs all the time, and I loved it. And as I started getting a little bit more older and started kind of doing different things in my life, like not going to the clubs and spending more time at home, like I've become a major homebody, especially in the winters here in Wyoming. We got snowed in for like almost over a week. So I find myself in sweaters a lot, sweaters and sweatpants. So I was like, okay, I still want to look cute up in my home. So I've got like 2 dozen sweaters, and they're all different types. And I'm like, oh, I like this one. So my point is, the way I've groomed myself differently now is fashionable sweaters. And I think I love this idea, because it doesn't have to be necessarily what somebody else is doing, but you can make your own, how you feel good as grooming goes, your own. And, when I was younger, I used to think to myself, I'd see women with buns and big t-shirts, and I used to think, what happened to them? well, like, what happened to them? Did they lose themselves? Because I was younger and I was like, wearing all the skimpy clothes. I didn't realize now that I'm older, like there's nothing wrong with a bun and a big t-shirt. Like that's comfortable. You know what happened to them? Or I should say us. We got to the point where we don't care what anybody thinks. We like who we are. We've become, at this point, I would hope that if you aren't there yet in your journey, that you do arrive to the journey where you don't care what other people think and you wear what makes you feel good and comfortable, whether it's skimpy clothes, erotica clothes, a big t-shirt, a big sweater, whatever it is. Like, as long as you say to yourself today, God, I'm really cute. I am so cute. I am like, oh God, I'm gorgeous. I think that's the best part of it all. What do you think, January?
Oh my gosh, yes, because so I love, and I have to actually, I have to get dressed up because I have meetings, with clients. So it's vital for me to get dressed up. I'm actually going to a continuing education class later today. And so, but I love wearing my sweaters. I love wearing my sweaters. I love wearing I have these joggers, my favorite joggers that I use, and I love them because they're just so comfy. There is value in however you feel for that day, do it. If you're feeling sexy, amazing, want to look flaunty and cute, go do it. If you're feeling like I want to be comfy today and I want to just relax, do it. Do whatever comes naturally to you, because I myself have a dozen sweaters myself and I love sweaters with hoodies though. It's got to be with a hoodie. Something about a pull up, it's okay, but I love the hoodies just to make sure I have something that covers me.
But you are right. Don't miss out on the spark of life. Okay. There's comfortable and cute. And then there's sparkly and sexy. You know what I mean? Don't miss out on all of it. Like, it's all there for you. And I really suggest, like for me, the majority of my life is now spent in sweaters during the winters. But when I get out and I go, I want to go to this concert. I want to go to this fancy dinner. I want to go to this meeting. I show up and I glow up. All right. Because that's taking advantage of all of it. And I love that, it kind of goes back to self-love, if that's what you're aware of, instead of going, I have to put this on because of this. Okay. That's not, I wouldn't mark that as self-love per se. That's more like somebody else. You're doing it obligated for somebody else. That's not going back to the self, that love for yourself. So kind of just pay attention to what you're like, listen to what you're saying in your head. And if you're feeling obligated to wear something because somebody else likes it and you really don't feel comfortable in it, girl, change it up, queen. You don't have to. Like, the littlest thing can switch it up for you. Do some research, watch some YouTube videos, look at TikToks, whatever it is, and get some advice on how to switch it up and make it where you like it, where you love it for yourself.
Oh my gosh, Helen. Okay, because you brought up something in my memory where I felt I had to dress and look a certain way. Otherwise, I wouldn't be like seen, or I wouldn't be accepted with my peers. And I felt I needed to look and dress a certain way. And then you're right, as you get older, you're like, I don't give a fuck. Like, whatever it is I want to wear, I'm gonna fucking wear whatever I want to wear. Like, you're not gonna tell me like, if you think I look funny, that's all on you. I like how I look. You know what I love? I love when my daughter was younger. When she was younger, she would dress up in her Princess Aurora, her Jasmine, her Moana. She had all of these costumes, and she's like, you know what? Today I'm going to be, what did she, Anastasia. That was one of her favorites. I'm going to be Princess, not Anastasia, Princess Anna from Elsa. And she would rock that. She would rock that. Like, this is her, and I love that. I feel like when we were children, like little, right? We were so self-aware with who we were, and it didn't matter what others thought. And then as we got older, like come like middle school, right? Elementary, middle school, that's when like the insecurities start coming in, and the insecurities of, well, what will others think, And then as you get older, if you are on that journey to self-awareness, as you get older, you realize they don't pay my bills. They have nothing to do with me. So I'm gonna do whatever I want and dress however I want. And there is power to that, because as you know, the first thing that we see is that outward appearance, right? The first thing that we like portray out to ourselves or to our peers is that outward appearance. For some of us, hair, right? Hair is like a really big thing, because I know for some women who have gone like through cancer treatments, or who are losing hair, that's like our hair is the one thing that solidifies like our face, it frames our face. And so um hair is important to a lot of people. That's like a whole nother topic we could talk about, is hair. But if you, however, whatever hair you do have or don't have, own it. Own it. It's yours. And, I always tell my daughter always tells me, Mommy, I don't like my hair. I wish I had straight hair like yours. And I would tell my daughter, I'm like, oh my gosh, your hair is like beautiful curls and beautiful natural color. You don't have to dye it. You don't have to highlight it. It's beautiful. And I tell her this and remind her this all the time. And now there are children in her class who are like, oh, I like your hair. I want your hair. And it gives her confidence that she knows that her hair is beautiful. So one, feel it inside of you, like what it is to you that's beautiful, and be aware of what it is that how you want to portray yourself to the outside world, who you want to be, who do you want to be? Because you can decide who you want to be. And with makeup and hair and clothes, you can design yourself however it is, right? So that was number 4. Helen, did you want to say anything more about number 4?
That was great.
Get your groove on. All right, number 5. Number 5, for me, I know for Christians, I know I am a daughter of a king. And I say this with such boldness. I know I am a daughter of a king, because that means that I'm a princess. That means I've got my crown on. That means that I am of royalty. And when we think of ourselves in that state of mind where we are royalty, we are a princess, we are a queen, we are a king, our whole persona changes, because then we don't think of ourselves as low or as, like a peasant. I'm not a peasant, I'm a princess. And when you think of that, things change. The way that I view myself changes, because then I feel like, oh, and we see, Queen Elizabeth, we see King Charles, and it's a different type of viewpoint when you do see like a king and a queen, right? We see them above, right? And that's what we should see ourselves above. We should elevate ourselves into that type of feeling of royalty and feeling of respect. What are your thoughts, Helen?
Yes, I 100% agree with, seeing ourselves more elevated, as for myself and my personal belief on this, this subject is, I'm a daughter of a queen. I am, in the Apache way, for us, the creator, the divine, the all source is Yusent. And that means there's no separation between masculine and feminine. So you can be a daughter of a king, you can be a daughter of queen, you can be daughter of they or them. You can be they or them. You can be the queen, you can be the king. And that's why January is saying, like I talk about protecting the throne. When you protect the throne, mind, body, spirit, you say, I am a queen, I am a king. Who protects that throne? Is it the king or the queen? It's the warrior. The warrior protects. And that's why, I talk about, or January is going to bring this up also, but having boundaries, having self-respect, like she was saying earlier, elevating yourself. When you do see yourself as this queen, this king, the daughter of a king, a princess, something of royalty is value. It brings more value to your life. It goes into your beliefs, it goes into your conscious, it goes into your subconscious eventually, where now you're acting or being that which you believe you are, right?
So on the opposite side of that, right? Because there is an opposite to a coin. When you think low of yourself, okay, when those thoughts come in and you're feeling defeated, or you're feeling that you're not good enough, and that's probably a word that I've said to myself, a phrase that I've said to myself, I'm not good enough, because I'm comparing myself. So when we compare ourselves, okay, so comparing ourselves is the thief of joy. And we compare ourselves when we look at Facebook, when we look at Instagram, and we see like all these different relationships, families that look as though, oh my gosh, they are the perfect family, the perfect relationship, the perfect woman. And you compare yourself to them. Comparison can kill who you are inside, because you are like, oh, I want to be that person. No, you can be whoever you want. You can choose to be whoever you want. And everything that's going on in Facebook and Instagram, all social media, may not be reality. So I just want to say that it may not be reality. Sometimes we put our highlights, right? These are our highlight reels on Facebook. So what may look as though they may be the perfect couple, they may be the perfect family, the perfect woman, man, they really aren't. They're actually really trying to work on themselves. So a lot of times when people put that out there, and I know for me, I'm trying to be a better person. I'm trying to be a better, better wife, better, mom, all of these, elevated. I'm trying to elevate myself to level up. Sometimes when people do that, and I know for me, I do that, is I am trying to level up. So I post that because I want more of that. So that's kind of another side that I'm trying to look at, is that, yeah, when people put all their highlight reels on there, it's not so much their life is perfect. It's that they want more of that. So one, comparing ourselves, we gotta stop that. Okay, stop that shit, because that is not going to serve you. You got to be who you are, where you are, accept it, embrace it. So, I lost 25 pounds last year, right? And I gained some weight back. But you know what? I'm loving my body. Thank you, arms. I have my arms. I have my legs, right? I have my face. Just embrace for where you are. Helen, you had something to say.
Yeah, I was going to say you touched on a really good subject. And I think that's why number 4 is so important / imperative, to have some sort of connection to your spiritual or religious belief, I think or faith, I can say, for, something very powerful, bigger than you, because it's in those moments that you feel doubt and you feel self-destructive and self-sabotaging. And we've all had those times. We all may still have those times where we find ourselves comparing to the point where the comparison voice is so loud and it's so hurtful, and it's coming in and punching you, and you can't even take a second to get back up and throw a punch back. And it's in those moments that we have to have some sort of faith to lean on, whether it's God, whether it's you sent, whether it's a universe, whether it's goddess, whether it's Shanti, like whoever your faith or bigger connection to spiritualism or religion or faith is, like, it's important to have that connection. And that really helps when you're struggling and that self-love isn't there to catch you, and faith is, and you really don't see, but that is a form, it's a connection of self-love at arm's reach, but within you. I hope you understand what I'm saying, but I think I really suggest it for everybody. I know I went through a time in my life where I was like, fuck religion, fuck God, fuck, all of these faith-based things. I don't need it. I'm an atheist, and it was a very confusing time in my life, because I started learning a lot I went down a rabbit hole, and a lot of truth started coming out for me that was never taught to me in church. And I was really angry about it. And I thought by abandoning all religion, all faith, all spirituality, and just saying I'm a believer of nothing, it actually hurt me more. There is for me something bigger. And I'm now a believer of all, and I'm also a believer of nothing. And you can have all beliefs. You can. I know I could attest to that, but that's just my personal feeling. But I do know that having a faith in something has saved me time and time again. Not to sound preachy, but it has been one of my highest forms of self-love for myself. And one of the famous quotes is, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And it's true. So you've got to have something you stand for, something that you believe in. I don't care what it is. I'm not here to persuade you in any direction, but what I do know, coming back to number 4, is that the self-love that faith and spirituality has provided for me is beyond anything I ever expected. And I'm going all the way with it. So I'm standing firm in it. And I hope if you're out there and you just need some guidance or some inspiration, I hope that I've done that for you. And January's done that for you today.
Yes, so for me, I am definitely grounded in my faith, and I like what you said, because you said there's like a phrase or something that you say, but being grounded in faith for me is why I am who I am. The one verse that I love and I use whenever I feel down, or whenever I feel like I'm comparing myself to somebody else, is Psalm 139:14, and that is, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. And I love that verse because that makes me feel like empowered, and makes me feel like, you're right, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I love that verse because it just reminds me of who I am and whose I am. And that gives me peace. So whatever it is that gives you peace, whatever it is that you cling on to, that's positive. Okay, so things that are positive, whatever it is that you believe in, cling on to that. Okay, as long as it's positive. All right. The negative stuff, like this is one of the things that is constantly on my mind. Negative stuff is going to be there. Okay, sometimes those negative stuff are there to teach you a lesson and for you to grow. As long as you learn from whatever negative aspect that has happened and grow from it, but not live and dwell in it. Okay, so there's a difference between the two, right? When you live and dwell in it, it's as if it's like you're allowing it to live and breathe within yourself. But if you see it in another way, where this is something that has shaped me and I'm learning and growing from it, rather than like being a victim of it, there's power in that. And then you in turn find your power. You in turn stand in your power, because you're not going to be a victim. You're going to be victorious, and you're going to say, nope, I'm not a victim. I'm empowered. I'm empowered. I'm strong. I'm stronger because of what has happened. I don't want to be preachy because I feel like I'm going that way, but
yeah,
more positive.
We're really passionate about, our own divine spiritualities. And I was going to touch on one of the things I used to be actually was really preachy. I used to be, like I said, super thin. I was always like wearing skimpy clothes. I was always like working. I've always been into working out. I've always been in the gym life. And I used to preach a lot to my sisters because they're thicker, and, they're having health problems. And I was always like, you need to be like this. You need to do that. You need to do this. And then I started realizing, like, I was sick. I may have looked good on the outside, but I was sick inside. I was struggling. I was really falling apart. And it just hit me one day. I need to stop preaching so much to everybody else and start becoming the light myself. And all this energy I'm putting out and trying to help all these other people, I'm suffering inside. So I started turning that inwards. And I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life. I'm a little bit thicker too now, and I love it. And there's a difference between being preachy and being passionate. And we are passionate, and that's why we're doing this podcast. But like January mentioned, the thief of joy, man, comparison is such a deadly son of a bitch because comparison comes to all of us, and it comes to us, especially when we're not when we're not guarded. It just randomly will pop up. Sometimes before you even get out of bed, it's just there waiting, like, hi, and you're just like, no. And it's so awful. And it happens to the best of us. It happens to motivational speakers. It happens to millionaires. There's no separation of who you are. That comparison won't come and try to steal your joy for the day. Isn't it awful, January?
It is. So that's why it's vital that, every day I see every day as obviously as a joy, but it's also a battle. Okay. Every day is a battle because our minds play tricks on us. And it's every day you should be doing daily work within yourself, and feeding yourself that positive, the positive words, positive things. It's like that Cherokee story that I mentioned, a few podcasts ago or something, and how, which wolf will win? Well, the one that you feed, so feed yourself that positive energy, because at the end of the day, we can create who we are. We can create our own lives. We really can. Like, you can choose it. But it's really up to like that internal work within ourselves, within our minds. Mindset is so key. The mindset is key for everything. And if we're talking about self-love, the mindset for you, dig deeper. We all have to dig deeper, right? I need to dig deeper into myself as well. So dig deeper and realize, what it is inside of us that we want to portray. We only have one life to live. We don't have 9 lives. We're not cats. So we have one. And the crazy thing about our life is that it's not guaranteed. We have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. I have a friend, and her daughter-in-law died in a car accident not that long ago. Okay, I think it was like January 1st. She leaves behind like 2 young kids, right? And so things like that, we just never know. She wasn't planning on getting into a car accident, and sadly that's her fate. And so with that said, every day you wake up, decide intentionally, set your intentions and decide who it is that you want to be, where it is that you want to go, who do you want to portray, all of the above, set yourself on higher ground.
Yes, I love that. Well, I don't love the story you told, but you're right. Anything can happen at any time. So guys, girls, people, humans, listen up. Self-love yourself. We want to thank you. We're going to wrap it up on that note. Just appreciate all of you. And if you would like to support our podcast, you can do it by buying us a coffee. The links are in the show notes. You can leave us a 5-star review. January, tell them where they can find you.
You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. On Facebook, Instagram, I am VIP Finance Builders. Apologize, I didn't put it in my name. VIP Finance Builders. You can Google my name, January Liddell, and I will pop up. I'll pop up on LinkedIn. That's where you can find me. Helen, where can we find you? You're on mute, darling.
I said my sister's in the background taking video and pictures. What's up, Mitzi? Yes, you can find me on Hell of a Journey on Instagram, and you can go to our Facebook page, Sexy Freedom Media. You can leave us a review. You can leave us a review there. Also, I want to give a shout out to Erica, who reached out to me through Instagram and left me a beautiful review for my book, Nothing Sexier Than Freedom, that she purchased over in the Philippines. Amazing. Yeah, I woke up to the message, and I love everybody who reaches out to me. I get numerous messages of my book, and it would be helpful if you guys went on Audible and left them the review, and Amazon, leave the review there also, but I don't mind. Keep sending them through my messages. I appreciate you all. So thanks for listening, everybody, and I hope you guys have a great week.
Hello.
Want to hear more?
Visit us at SexyFreedomMedia.com.